And welcome back once again, esports fans, to the PCS Summer 2021. We've got a couple more games still on tap tonight. Very excited for this next one with Impunity taking on Boom Esports. But before we get into that, I do want to take a moment to thank our wonderful sponsors. They are CTBC Bank, China Airlines, and Chunghwa Telecom. Thank you so much for making the PCS possible. Clement, you as hyped for this game as I am. I gotta ask.
Yeah, I am really hyped. Impunity, their scoreline might not look so good, but they recently have won 2 out of 3, and they're definitely on the upswing on 11.14, the team to watch, I would put, on the new patch. On the other hand, you do have Boom Esports that, nearly took down PSG, won against Megabank Beyond Gaming. So I think these are the two most hyped teams in the new patch, and the two teams that have accelerated most in their drive towards the postseason.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it has to do with a couple of standout performers on either side. I'm always keeping my eye on the top lane in particular, but we'll get into that in just a little bit because there are the competitors on the blue side on your screen right now. Top King in the top, Epic, then Moonblack, Blaze, and Smurf. And Moonblack, really proved he's still got quite a lot left in the tank. The Azir last week certainly looked great.
Yeah, we always talked about Moonblack and his sort of unique champion pool, how it looked more like a TFT pool than it actually did look like a League of Legends pool. But I like that he's willing to go back into some of those champions that he's much more comfortable on, the Azir that we saw. And, I think a lot more teams have been going back to the Orianna as well. That really patches up their mid lane laning phase. We did see Moonblack go for more melee champions like the Kled and the Sylas, but I think neither champion pick really was what Impunity wanted. And with Moonblack being much more comfortable in lane, I feel like Epic doesn't need to push himself that hard into early aggressive champions. He's been laying out the Trundle, thank God, and they've been coming ahead with wins.
Finding 2 out of 3 certainly ain't bad there for a team trying to find answers. They've got a couple. Their opponents today will be Boom Esports. We've seen them earlier today against the likes of Alpha, who they were able to take the win off of. Rocky, Holo, once again starting. Ruby in the mid lane, Waku and Pop. I do love this matchup because it's Moonblack versus Ruby. It's the two players with the strangest champion pools who have managed to make it work nonetheless.
I will say I still favor Ruby in this matchup because Ruby recently has been on a tear, and also LeBlanc is completely unanswered on the other side of Moonblack's champion pool. His usual go-to is something like Sylas, and you get to run away with the early game for free on something like that. So I don't really see what Moonblack can do if Sylas is actually selected here, and LeBlanc is actually selected here. So I think we are going to have to see bans coming through.
I want to see him pick Ryze. It's just pick Ryze. It's okay.
I'm not sure if he has it or not. That's always the question.
That is the question. You never know.
Also, the bottom side from Boom Esports has really been showing up huge. Wako plus Pop, I think they've been playing this game incredibly well. Pop especially, I think, has a matchup advantage over Smurf. We'll see how that bottom side ends up, but I do expect it to go into Boom Esports' favor. On the flip side, we're taking a look at Holo versus Epic here. KDAs do look a lot better for Holo, but as a reminder, he did play a lot fewer games. And Epic's job, for me, is a lot more difficult. I think Holo gets to farm till 6 before finding plays, but Epic's job is to try to keep all of his lanes ahead. And that is not difficult to do. That's not easy to do when most of your lanes are faltering early on. We have seen Epic just go for the most powerful early game duelist that he can possibly get in the meta in Lee Sin and Trundle, and just trying to keep the team afloat. After that, though, Impunity does have a pretty good strong mid game and good macro decision making. So far, they're 100% win rate if they are in the lead at 15 minutes.
Yeah, and that really tells the story of this team, right? When they've been losing, what has happened to them is they just seem to fall apart early and never really recover. But if they get off to a good start, if they do get off on the right foot, that helps them get the win. And we know Boom is a team that likes to play it a little bit slower. They're one of the slowest teams, if not the slowest team in the league, at closing things out. Not because they always pick like these crazy scaling comps, just their games tend to go a little longer. So if they can neutralize some of the threats on the side of Boom and get a decent laning phase for themselves, I think that's going to go a long way. Question is, will they be able to do it? A matchup I'm certainly watching in addition to this jungle matchup is the top side, because Top King has got a patch that makes him very, very happy. He's shown a number of interesting champions, and he's going up against Rocky, who has an insane string of games so far and has just kind of been wrecking people on Gwen.
If you think about their game versus PSG, where Impunity actually played pretty well there and gave PSG a great sweat. It was in large part because of Top King's advantage over Hanabi there in the top side, able to get a flash out of him early and keep ahead in that lane. We're going to go directly into the draft phase, and like we expected, the Blanc has to be taken away. Gwen also off the table against Rocky, who has been doing tremendous things with it so far. And Boom Esports, with no surprise, Heimerdinger definitely off the board.
Boom actually did make a little bit of a swippy swap. We got Alex in the jungle for this lineup. We got ourselves a little debated. But yeah, the Lee Sin does get locked in for Epic quickly. Let's see how this changes the calculus. Alex definitely has gone less of the Lee Sin. I think this is a
typo, because we saw Holo
never mind.
Down at the computer.
Yeah. There we go. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I thought maybe Alex went and sit down, kicked Holo out of the chair. I'm like, what's going on? No, we just had the wrong nameplate.
That would be extremely rude of Alex to do so in the middle of a trap phase.
I want to play League of Legends.
Holo.
Oh boy. Okay, so I got myself double baited. Anyways, we got Lee Sin, we got Diana. Ooh. And if this Lucian comes through, the fun thing about this is I feel like this could be a Ruby or a Rocky champion.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Lucian Diana, to be honest. We saw J-Team run this, and it was a bit of a tragedy.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, I prefer an AD champion that doesn't have to get ahead. Yasuo is kind of like that. Renekton's kind of like that. But going for the Thresh is definitely a welcome pick coming in here. As we've talked about, Boom Esports is one of those teams that can play both the Aphelios and the Kalista for Wako, which makes them very flexible with the Thresh. Impunity has been just going straight Varus. They're the other team alongside with Mega Bank Beyond Gaming that seems to have a line in their contract that just says AD carry must always play Varus. And I don't blame them. So far, they've been doing quite well with it. I think it fixed a lot of their bottom lane laning issues. Impunity throughout this split, their weakest lane has actually been their bottom lane. And with that Varus, it means that even if you're behind, you can still pick up farm well. You still have utility to contribute to the rest of the team. So it makes it a lot less risky for Impunity compared to something like the Kaisa like they played before. And to no surprise, we get the Azir.
Yeah. So far, Moonblack having one great showing on it, looking to make another happen. Putting things together here for Boom. Ooh, we might get ourselves a little Shadow Isles bot side. Thresh Kalista coming in.
Extremely strong bottom side, and this is why Thresh is just so powerful in terms of the drafting, because you can transition from a front-to-back team comp with the Aphelios into a low-to-the-ground early game menacing teamfight composition with the Kalista. Same support, but just different AD carry pick to go with it. And it does look very similar to what we saw from PSG earlier today. Honestly, if they just throw the Yasuo in here, it looks perfect. Like, why not?
Yeah. I mean, you have to think, like, Ruby ought to be able to play it. He's got some interesting champions in the pool. He's played some cool stuff. I've loved to see some more of his, like, backline mages, but I want to see that assassin play. Now we are into the second phase of bans. Aurelia removed, Renekton removed. Impunity, they won't have the counter pick for Top King, but they definitely want to focus on giving him a matchup he'll be happy with.
So far, it's hard for Impunity to decide which lane they're actually playing for. Bottom lane is going to have a lot of difficulties against Shadow Isle combo. That's probably the strongest bot lane you can pick, bar things like Draven. So I think Impunity, for their early game, they have to be looking for the top side. And right now, there's not a lot of good champions left that are blind pick and extremely strong top. I'm thinking Tom Kench might be one of them here, with the Renekton being banned away themselves. But I'm not sure how well it fits the later phase of the game. I guess it could be just go into a straight poke composition. You focus on top side. Boom Esports, they're just memeing Moonblack right now. That is not an actual pick. What?
Yeah.
Is it Kalista top?
Ooh, okay. Yeah, with the Ezra locked in, I mean, that has been Wako's most played champion thus far. It could be, or maybe it's a a Ruby champion? I don't even know anymore, man. Boom pulled some shenanigans here.
We did have a Kalista game from Rocky and Spring Split, but it was not something you want to remember. Kalista is one of those all-in, lane win or nothing champions.
What if it was like an Ezreal top?
Ezreal top is actually somewhat playable. I don't think it's a high priority pick by any chance. I think Kalista top still has more probability.
Okay. Weird. Top King does get the Jace lock in, though, too, as some strange things happen here. Okay, maybe it's not top at all. Although, Mundo being flashed.
Oh, it's mid lane. I get it now.
Yeah, okay. All right.
That's boring. It works kind of the same way a Corki does. You just keep your distance and fire away at the Azir, but
I guess
definitely not my cup of tea. I like action. This is an action.
Well, mid lane is going to be one thing, but we'll have to keep our eye on the rest of the lanes. Rocky going for a more tanky-oriented pick, not going to try and match carry for carry. It'll be interesting to see how that all shakes out. Meanwhile, Shadow Isle's bottom side should give Blazing Spark a little bit of trouble, but just all across the board, looking at the two compositions we've got, it does seem like there's some comfort there on the Impunity side. Do you have a preference on the draft overall, Clement?
Oh, in terms of the picks, I actually like Impunity's draft a little bit more. They have a very strong siege poke composition. All three of their lanes can dish out massive amounts of damage, and they also have an early game disengaged jungler. So a lot of things on Impunity I feel like are tried, true, and tested. While for Boom Esports, they're coming in with some interesting drafts over here. Like, it's very clear that they're trying to focus on bot side. That's their winning point on the map in the early phases of the game. But after that, I'm not exactly sure what the game plan is. It's for one, I'm not really that familiar with Ezreal mid lane. But like,
and Ruby
I'm
had
not
the
sure
Yasuo.
What they're trying to do. It feels like a weak wombo combo with Diana going in and then Arcane Barrage, but that feels so much weaker than Yasuo and Diana, to be honest.
Yeah. Strange decision making, but we'll see if it works out all the same for Boom Esports. They are the team that have looked extremely good, taking down Megabank Beyond Gaming, nearly beating PSG, and ruining their perfect split. Boom Esports have kind of just, I don't want to say they've come out of nowhere, but they've certainly impressed, I think, beyond expectations. We'll see if they have something tricky up their sleeves here, or if Impunity will be able to take them down a notch, claim another win for themselves, as they are looking to climb back up the standings, currently sitting at 3-7, but two of those wins coming from last week. Impunity, maybe it's a little too soon to say they got their swagger back, but they're certainly working on it.
Really interesting to mention that both of these teams actually had good showings against PSG and nearly took the wins away, if not from hero performances coming out from Maple and Unified. So that just goes to show you that the patch can really change the fate of a team. 11.13 definitely wasn't Impunity's cup of tea. 11.14, you know, their eyes start to widen up and they feel pretty happy about this one. Again, I do favor Impunity's draft quite a bit here. I feel like for Boom Esports, there are a lot of issues in terms of what they're trying to do late game. I think Mundo and Kalista both fall off quite a lot. And, you know, when you have a compensation, I call these sort of drafts a compensation draft, which is you're not trying to layer your power spikes to make a bigger amplification, but instead you're trying to smooth out your curve by picking champions that come online at different times. That's a compensation draft. And for me, these types of drafts don't have very high ceilings. You have to play things quite well. You have to really play things incredibly cleanly from start to finish to get this to work. And, you know, Ezreal mid, we have seen it this season. There have been a couple of picks across the board, but the win rate overall isn't that high. It's mid 40s as a sort of unique counter pick. I'm not entirely sold on it.
Yeah, it's kind of funny coming into this one. Like, a lot of the critique between these two mid laners, a lot of the critique was really about a lot more focused on Moonblack, because outside of the Heimerdinger for a long time, he really hadn't found much success and was struggling a lot when he tried to play the Assassins. Whereas Ruby actually adapted a lot better to the LeBlanc meta, and also still found some success on things like Victor On obviously Vladimir was extremely good, but even the Cassiopeia. So it is a little weird to see the like question mark ping pick happening on the Boom side of things. So a little bit odd here as we are taking a moment to get into game. Yeah, maybe Boom are just trying something. Maybe they're playing around a little bit and seeing what they can do with a slightly different style.
And it actually gets a little bit worse. I actually misclicked on my tabs, and there was actually only one other Ezreal mid lane pick this split. So
oh dear, where was it?
Let me check this one up. It's taking a while for me to actually get this one. I'm trying to do it on my phone, so that's always kind of hard. Don't want you guys to hear all the clicking noises I do.
Gotta get those
keyboard.
stats.
Yeah, but it also did not win. But we have seen this in the past. It's just like back in the days where Ezreal started out like Doran's Blade into Triforce. You did have that window of opportunity where you're just 80 early on, and you get to dodge out of the Shurima Shuffle, the Conquering Sands very easily from Azir and just deal damage behind his minion wave. That has worked, but we just haven't seen it recently. So, you know, I'm willing to trust in Ruby. Sometimes he seems to know what he's doing. Asterisk on sometimes. Vladimir was not it, but other times,
well, the Vladimir wasn't it the second time around. I think his first time actually worked out well, but I guess, you know, everybody gets one, right? Moonblack and his Heimerdinger. Yeah, you know, Ruby is a player that I'm not. I'll be the first to admit, Clement. I'm not the analyst of the two of us. Ruby definitely confuses me sometimes.
Yeah,
don't always know what he's doing.
I think that's fair to say. We did get one Ezreal mid from North America. And that is not usually the place I take my inspiration from. They have came up with a lot of great stuff in the past. Don't really watch that league that much, so I'm not so sure about the context of that one. But it is pretty much just the usual build that we have seen, just going for the Divine Sunders into the Cerelia's Grudge. Of course, you have the Manamune as well. So it's kind of the same build, just different place coming into it. And, you know, I think you could think of it as an 80s era, basically.
Yeah, with a little bit more mobility, right? You're trying to get out of the Azir moves that you mentioned a little bit earlier on. And apart from just playing safe, being able to try and layer on the extra damage going on into the game. But, you know, we focused a lot on the Ezreal. Talking about the rest of the side of the map, I think, you know, Impunity, they look like they had a very comfortable composition for themselves. Yep. They've started to find some answers. And they just critically, they weren't denied some of those like particular picks that they've been finding some more success on in this new patch. And I wonder if that just means like they're actually really lifted up by the patch a lot, or if they're just finding their footing a lot more. Because some of the earlier games in the split where Impunity had what looked like pretty solid drafts just fell apart because they started honestly hard losing a lot of lanes. As you talked about Epic, his job being extremely difficult when it's trying to raise up 3 lanes that are just falling down at the same time. I wonder if there wasn't just, you know, some kind of tilt effect going on for this team. Like as they started stacking up the losses, it did seem like for a while they just sort of looked worse and worse. But then things turned around last week.
I definitely believe that tilt was an issue where they did have a game that was postponed and they had to play 3 games on the same day, lost all 3. That was kind of the start of the downward spiral. But I also feel like there were more systematic issues at hand, mainly the patch, which just told 80 carries that you're not important. And Impunity were a team that were very reliant on Blaze. They were a team that I can say, you know, Top King might be the flashy one on the team, but it was Blaze that carried them through most of their more difficult wins in Spring Split. And we saw that at the start of the split where they were still trying to play carry Blaze, where they were going for Kaisa, they were going for a lot of Ezreals, trying to get him to scale. That was their motto. But I feel like they just came to a point and realized that their bot lane hasn't been performing in terms of the laning phase, and going for carry picks actually exacerbated the issue. And instead, recently, they've just switched tracks completely. They have gone for straight Varus picks. So they're saying, you know what, Blaze, you're great in the late game, but we're just not getting to the late game, and it doesn't matter. So they're just putting on Varus over and over again, and I think that's a decent fix for their issues. Varus is a champion where you can, because he has crowd control, you can tower dive quite easily if you get ahead, And if you fall behind, you can play very safe and just wave clear with Piercing Arrow. So I think that's been a great fix to most of the team's issues. And then you have an 11.14 patch coming in, which we talked about a lot, just freeing up Top King to actually play his Aurelia, which he actually is an Aurelia main. He gets his best champion, and things start to look on the up and up. Moonblack for me was... I'm not ready to say that Moonblack has dealt with all of his issues, because to me, his champion pool is still very wobbly. If you're banning LeBlanc every time the opponent plays LeBlanc, that's kind of an issue, and there are a lot of LeBlanc players in the PCS. So yeah. I'm not ready to say that we're done with that, but recently I think the changes just to the drafts for Blaze and for Top King were enough to get them back to a state where they actually get to play mid-game macro. And I think Impunity is actually one of those teams that actually has great decision-making. They're very clean on their rotations. They don't make weird mistakes. They're not a team like, how should I say this? I feel like contrast them to Hong Kong Attitude. Hong Kong Attitude are a team with significantly better laning, but a lot worse mid-game decision-making. Like, Hong Kong Attitude are the team that kind of, hangs around in fights that they have no business hanging around, or walks into just random nooks and crannies and dies. Impunity really don't do that.
No, they just,
can
a lot of the
outplay
games
them.
they lost were just like, they just kind of got too far behind too fast, right? It's like, it wasn't like they made like these like micro or like even like macro mistakes and just like moved around the map when they shouldn't have. It's just they were falling too far behind too fast. And that's why I ask about the tilt factor, right? Because when it feels like you're making all the right moves but just nothing's working out in your favor, that could just be so frustrating. But it is nice to see that Impunity found not just a bit of a group, but also compositions that start to suit them more. And on your earlier point about Varus, Clement, you can still carry with Varus. You just gotta pad those kills, and then your Piercing Arrows start doing half of the enemy AD carry's health bar, and you're off to the races.
No, for sure. I think that's definitely a great fix for him, and I wonder how long they're going to continue with Varus. For me, Varus is almost due for a nerf at some point, so I wouldn't put all my eggs into that basket if I'm Impunity. I'd be kind of queasy going into this one, and it does make you a pretty easy target. Like, if I'm playing against Impunity, I have very clear ideas on what I'm banning. I'm banning Azir, I'm banning Heimerdinger, and I'm banning Varus. And I'm just going to ask you, okay, Impunity, what else do you have? So
they didn't have to worry about it this time, at least, as they managed to pick those ones up. We are taking a little bit of time to get into games, so thank you, everybody, for holding on. If I heard correctly from production, I believe we are going to go into a quick break. Thanks for hanging with us. We'll be back in the game as soon as we can. We interrupt your cool action discussion to bring the game that you guys have all been waiting for. Thank you all so much, everyone, for being patient. We are going to get into Impunity versus Boom Esports, and we're going to have to cycle back to it, Clement, because the draft, it's now in the past. We're getting into the game. Finally loading onto Summoner's Rift. We'll see if Impunity can take down Boom Esports, or if Boom have some tricks up their sleeves with this Ezreal mid.
You see the Fog of War? That's kind of my memory on what the picks actually are at this point. Like, I'm not exactly sure. We're going to be taking a closer look. I think it's slowly coming back to me.
Yeah,
did favor Impunity's
for all of you,
draft.
All of you in the audience wondering, yes, casters have short-term memories. It is a universal trait. We had to write things down. A little peek behind the curtain for all y'all staying up to watch.
You guys evolved from monkeys. We evolved from goldfish. And that really is a difference to everything. As we have Rocky with that's a very interesting emote. I'm not sure what it is. But taking a look at the runes, we are going to get pretty normal runes from Ruby overall. It's just Conquerors coming in. And Top King getting a briefcase thrown at him. Very good choice of skins right there, Rocky. You are a man
giving him
culture.
the business.
Minions have spawned.
Talking about the comps a little bit more and circling back to the win conditions, we do have Impunity with a full-out poke composition. Very strong at group together. Lots of crowd control. Love the disengage from Braum as well. So their big quest is just to start leaving lane, grouping up together, and they can take this game down really fast if they get a lead. On the other hand, for Boom Esports, a bit of a mosh pit of all different sort of things, I would say. Not really a mosh pit, but like a smorgasbord of all different elements. They have some engage, but I don't think it's that strong. The Diana and Fate's Call is what they're really relying on to catch out the poke composition. In the other parts, they should be focusing quite heavily on this bottom lane. This is their winningest part on the map. So I think Boom Esports are looking for more of a tempo game into just kind of Diana carry with a hard engage potential to one-shot targets.
Yeah, we will definitely be keeping an eye on what Holo is able to do in this one. Ooh, nice start by Pop with the double flay. And it looks like we've got ourselves a pause to start things off. We made it 2 minutes and 7 seconds. But we are going to take a little bit of time.
Just as the action was about to begin as well. That seems rather unfortunate. But, talking about the lane, it definitely is favor for Kalista early on. You have a lot of potential to just stack up Rens and get poked through the minion wave, so not too surprised about that outcome. Did look at the jungle pathing. I believe we got Boom Esports pathing towards the bottom side as expected, and a leash coming out from the side of Impunity and going top lane to make sure that Jace can continue to just bully that Mundo on the top side.
Yeah, I liked what Rocky did to start, just trying to get a little bit of free poke out and push his way forward. I was really excited to talk about this top lane matchup coming into today. But yeah, it does feel like there's a pretty significant range advantage in favor of Top King this time around with the Jace. I think that was also his it's his first Jace game this split. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think it actually was. He definitely flashed the Jace a couple times before. But it is his first time that he actually managed to lock this one in. And just going back to the compositions, one thing I'm not very comfortable about with Boom Esports comp is they just don't have a lot of wave clear. It's actually very difficult for them to push out the wave if Impunity has a proper siege setup. And the difference between having great wave clear and not very good wave clear, it's just how much time you actually sit underneath your tower doing nothing. If you have to deal with the wave, you're not using your abilities on the enemy team, and it takes a lot. It gives a large window where you can just take shock blasts to the face. You can get tagged up by piercing arrows and stuff like that. So I feel like Boom Esports, they have to keep this bot lane suppressed from start to finish. If Ezreal ever gets to roam and leave lane early on, I think it could look really bad coming in from the side of from Impunity's end. And one thing that we have seen that I have picked up from North American teams when they play this composition is that it's not always a bad idea to actually swap your bot lane into the mid pretty early on just to get extra poke. You get the 2v1 trade. It's pretty hard for Ezreal to actually clear against you, and you just shove the lane in constantly. We have seen teams do this when they're playing poke comps, is that sometimes if they can't win a lane, they'll just sack a lane to get priority and set up the siege regardless.
Well, and I like that too, because it gives Blaze and Smurf the opportunity to kind of escape from what is probably going to be a losing matchup. We already saw in that first engage, that first bit of trade, Pop getting that sweet double flay on and allowing just a lot of harassment to happen. So, yeah, I mean, that does sort of necessitate sacking Moonblack just a little bit, but, I mean, he's okay at playing from behind. He's on an Azir. He should be able to at least, prevent the tower from getting completely collapsed on, and, then maybe we get the swap into the mid with the 2v2 again, but it buys some time, and I think Impunity, if they do go for something like that, could certainly try to find themselves rolling ahead a little bit. On the side of Boom over here, yeah, I'm still scratching my head a little bit about this Ezreal, because there just were so many available opportunities to maybe have a less interactive but also safe lane that would be able to kind of walk away. To add to the Wombo combo, I mean, we've already seen Ruby play Victor. I don't know why he wouldn't have played that against this. The Ezreal does feel a little weird. Yeah,
they are looking for something that is AD and has the potential to punish Moonblack. I feel like that was the main two considerations coming into it. So they already saw the Azir, and they wanted something, we'll call it what it is, but I think Ruby wanted something where he could get a lane lead by himself against Moonblack that isn't really known to be a very strong laner in the PCS. So I think it was just a combination of those two factors that led him towards the Ezreal. If we're thinking about what else could have worked right there, thinking about something that has a good matchup against Ezreal and is also AD physical. Usually Jace or Varus, but both of those were already on the enemy team.
Yeah. I mean, I guess just in terms of auto attacking, you've got a Gangplank. Gangplank mid used to be a thing a while back. I got to really stretch into my memory banks there. I don't know if it's something you want to do into an Azir where there's an insane amount of range, I honestly felt like a Yasuo could have worked. I don't know. Does that am I crazy?
Yeah.
Like maybe Ruby just doesn't have that in his pool.
You're not crazy. I personally prefer the Yasuo as well. I feel like that combo is a lot more potent than Ezreal Diana. Frankly, like if you're getting a wombo combo, the majority of your damage from the Ezreal would actually be magical at that point. So yeah, I definitely feel like Yasuo completes the combo a lot better with the amount of physical damage he's able to output in bursts. Unfortunately, that's not what they went for, and I don't really know what the win con is for Boom Esports. That's the interesting thing. We have seen today that win cons sometimes aren't really that important. You just you just deny the enemy win con, and you can win.
Yeah, that is its own win con. It's the counterplay.
Yeah, but I think the critical thing is if Boom Esports can actually get engages down into the mid side. So we have to pay very close attention to whether Pop can find his death sentences and how they're going to use Fate Calls to actually enable engages. Face Call plus Diana, in theory, is pretty strong, but we haven't really seen it from the PSG game today. So hopefully we can see it this time around with Wako throwing Holo in.
Yeah, we'll have to find out as we still are waiting to get in the game. I do want to zoom out a little bit here, Clement, and just kind of talk a little bit more about the league overall, because as we've been moving kind of quickly through the games today, I did want to get a little bit of your take since we rounded that halfway corner at the end of last week. Just where all the teams currently are. We talked a little bit about this Impunity squad coming back up and finding at least their footing on a patch. But what we hadn't talked about as much is the teams that have been finding struggles around them. Hong Kong Attitude, of course, dropping earlier today. Berjaya Dragons dropping earlier today. The way things are shaking out, does this kind of look to be a little closer to what we expected at the start of the split? Or are there like a lot of huge surprises for you still in where the standings are at?
I think all the teams landed in about the same range that we expect them to, but there's a couple small shuffles that have been going on. For me, Impunity are coming a little bit lower than I expected, but by the end of the split, I actually think they're going to reclaim 6th spot. I think they're going to overtake Hong Kong Attitude. That is my guess for now.
They're only a game behind right now, to be fair.
Yeah, but I think HK just has so many different roster swaps going on, and it doesn't seem like they've gelled correctly yet. So I think HK's their strategy is probably just to make it to postseason and use that sort of a delay to find their footing there. So they're more.
Are you saying they should change their name to Hong Kong Strategy?
I'm fine with Attitude, to be honest. I feel like it rolls off the tongue a little bit easier. HK.
It does.
Instead of HKS. Yeah, I'd go with HK on that one. But
all right.
My outlook for Hong Kong Attitude is actually a bit bleak. I feel like Impunity will overtake him. That's my prediction. And I'm really excited about the potential for Liab to overtake Berjaya. I think that's somewhat possible, given that they actually have the head-to-head win. Berjaya honestly haven't looked terrible, but unfortunately for them, I feel like Berjaya are very limited in their scope in terms of what they can play. And going down the stretch, people are going to target them even harder. So it's hard. Because overall talent, I actually would give Berjaya the edge. Ozzy, Arashi, to me, are very solidly star players. But unfortunately for them, I feel like they're somewhat limited. And they have a very wonky game plan. I'm actually willing to say that Liab, for me, sometimes their mid-game macro actually looks better than Berjaya. Berjaya games are messy.
Liab's last game was clean, just completely clean. And that was kind of even an eye opener for me because I've seen their early games and their mid games look all right before, but it was on a whole nother level.
Ooh. Let's see if Smurf is also support outside of game. In-game engage bot lane support, outside of game tech support. Let's see if it works.
Hey, if you could double up, right? They get their headphones on. Hopefully back in soon.
All right. Let's see. Seems like Smurf just went into the mainframe. He's back out now.
Just casually surfing the nets. Smurfing the nets.
The world depends on you right now.
Oh boy. Yeah, we'll see if we can get those issues fixed for them. But thanks everyone for sticking with us as we work out through the pause. But yeah, I asked you that question about the whole league because I think it does pertain a lot to our other competitor, right? Boom Esports at 8-3 right now are just looking so sharp with what they were able to do against PSG with the win against Beyond Gaming. they have kind of picked a little bit of an odd comp in this particular game, but it does seem like on the whole, this is a squad that's just extremely aware of what it wants to do and is really good at it.
Yeah, I'm actually... Okay, this is going to be somewhat controversial, but I actually think Boom Esports is going to finish the split higher than JT. I don't mean in regular split necessarily, but in playoffs.
I don't know if it's that controversial. They're looking real good.
Dude, but J-Team has been like a powerhouse for so many years. Like, they don't call J-Team the team of summer for no reason. Like, sure, the regular splits, you know, sometimes their games are not great. Like, I tend to think that J-Team falter against teams that are ultra aggressive and are willing to throw caution into the wind and just do full-on engages. And that's why they look a little bit worse against teams like Manchi. But for Boom Esports, they actually have a lot more layers to them, I feel. Like, they have this lever where they can play late game with Ruby. They can play really aggressive early on with Wako and Holo as well. So I just like Boom Esports' chances because of that flexibility in terms of the game tempo where they're playing at. Where J-Team, to me, are, against the higher teams at the very least, they tend to be very timid. They're overly cautious. They tend to give the opponent chances to come back into the game. And they still haven't developed a split push mechanism, which I am actually confident about. So that tends to lead to very grindy games. And when you're in a grindy situation and you're willing to leave the opponent to make the first move, that's usually a detriment. So I'm going to actually take Boom Esports over J-Team right here. Right now in the regular split, Boom Esports are already ahead of them. But I'm willing to say that like by the end of the postseason, we're going to see a shakeup and J-Team be bumped down a split.
I think that rematch is going to be really exciting because they actually do find themselves down 1-0 against J-Team. But that's not the game we're talking about. We're talking about Impunity Boom right now. We are going to take another break. Again, thank you everyone for sticking with us as we try to resolve the issues. We will be back as soon as we can.
Hey,
and we're back, and we're right into the game. See how seamless with us as we pick back up with the start of Impunity versus Boom Esports. I'm Pirate, he's Clement. Oh, we've been waiting a little while, Clement, but now we get to see how it all shakes out.
Yeah, we're coming right back into the thick of things. Honestly, when our producer was doing the countdown from 10 to 1, I thought we were going to end up in 2022, but we're still here. We're still back in the game. Nothing has changed, and you haven't missed any action.
What year is it, Clement? What year is it? Is it still 2021?
Yeah, that feels like a great Jumanji reference. Probably should
have
spoiled that.
Right? Have you seen the remake and the sequel to it, by the way?
Yeah, I have seen it. I felt like the director was not very good, but it's just like some fun summer stuff. Like the way they treat the exposition in that movie was, I feel like it was really not.
Oh, it's silly. It's
intriguing.
definitely silly, but like
Yeah.
I feel like that's super appropriate for a movie like Jumanji. And
Yeah,
I kind of have to watch anything with The Rock in it. I feel like I just have to.
True. Like, I think The Rock is going to be the president of the United States in our lifetime, for sure.
Honestly, we should be so lucky. It'd be great.
You know, like,
I live in
win
California,
any
man.
challenge
If Arnold can be the governator, anything can happen.
True. Like, you guys elected an android senate from the future, so
I
anything
know,
is possible.
Right? So
But we have to come back to the game.
Yes, we do. Let's talk about how this starts to unfold, because it seems like so long ago when the draft went down. Let's go over these teams' win conditions and what we're trying to see from them.
All right, so on the left side, we have Impunity coming in with the triple poke composition. They want to set up shop and just siege you down. Boom Esports, they don't have a lot of great engage. They don't have a lot of wave clear. So if Impunity get their way, I think they're going to run away with this game. And frankly, I do favor their draft just a little bit. On Boom Esports side, we have a bit of shenanigans coming in. The Ruby mid lane Ezreal has only been played once before.
Okay, he's got a shift and a flash, and
that was epic!
Not enough to escape as Epic gets the first blood.
That was pretty cool. Only one direction he could go right there. Epic catches him out, and sure, there was a pause, but Epic doesn't seem like he's falling asleep anytime soon. The Blind Monk finds a kick afterwards. That was beautiful prediction by his part, catching Ruby out here. A very important start. Once again, Boom Esports don't really have a lot of wave clear, so if the poke opportunity presents themselves, Boom Esports, they have to rely on a Death Sentence hero play to really get the engage they want going.
You know, if you're Boom Esports and you picked Ezreal for Ruby to kind of have like that safe lane and be able to combo up a little bit more with the True Shot Barrage, and you get first blooded, feels bad, man.
It definitely does. That's not a great sign so far. I will say that in terms of just the laning phase, he's actually been doing quite well. Look at the CS department. He's up by about 2 waves at this point and is able to roam around with Holo, which, you know, you don't usually see a Diana being able to counter jungle, but Boom Esports has been able to get away with that so far. And for Boom, we did talk about their main win condition. To us, is this bottom lane. This bottom lane is a bit of a double counter pick. They should have a lot of advantages coming into the 2v2. So if they can snowball this lane, it means that Varus can't group up with the rest of the team to start setting up siege and just poking down the mid lane tower. So we're going to be paying close attention to that to see if they can get any more advantages down there.
Yeah, Wako and Pop certainly have been showing up as well, and not just on these champions. I think it's been a very impressive showing from the Boom bottom side so far this split, especially in recent games, recent performances. Always want to keep an eye on what they're able to pull off. Now, Holo should be able to secure up Scuttle Crab here. And do they want to go for a play? There's always the possibility when you have a Thresh that Lantern could come in. Instead, they actually opt just to try and start off on that Infernal Dragon.
Mm-hmm. I really like this, just taking the early Infernal. There is no contest on the map on the other side with the Herald play. And the reason this is important, because I think for Impunity's composition, they're actually quite okay with trading sides. If they open a side, that means that they have one lane they can just put mid to set up siege. So you don't want to take these objectives. Whoa, but a great play!
Again, Pop just gets the hook into the double play. It's just beautiful to watch this lane work. And as a result, they're starting to move forward a little bit now. Epic getting his counter jungle on top side, secure away this red. But Rocky's giving him a bit of a hard time here as he gives him the business, quite literally.
I like how he just tanks the entire Krugs just to get position on Epic for a single briefcase and then walks back. It's
all about sending the message.
Yeah, you can't steal from corporate Mundo, okay? Stealing from the working class, that's one thing, but stealing from the corporate class, big no-no. Corporate Mundo don't like that. And
yeah, I'll take it to court over it. Wako, he is just so fine with anything that's happening right now. I love the Kalista Thresh lane. It's a lot of fun. You get a lot of cool yo-yo potential and engagements.
Yeah.
It's just a fun visual.
For sure, for sure. And I think it's going to be critical with the Fate's Call as we have Holo coming in for the combo.
And Moonblack, he's out by the skin of his teeth. Doesn't actually use the flash, just barely. Meanwhile, down to the bot, things are starting to heat up a little bit as Wako pulls in Smurf into the box. But here comes Epic. Doesn't land the Sonic Wave. Nice prediction from Pop and Wako as they both stutter step.
Yeah, very close fight coming into that one. And prior to this, Impunity were down 2 summoners in the heal and the exhaust. So I understand why Boom Esports is willing to play this aggressive onto them. They also stopped the wave rebound, so actually still a pretty decent position for Boom Esports. Great play on them, just dodging out onto Epic. Meanwhile, though, we haven't spent a lot of time in the top side, but Top King has a very sizable advantage here. Oh, actually, it's not even that much. I thought it was a lot higher than that.
He should have a very sizable advantage here, but yeah, you're right. It's Rocky's evened it out.
Yeah, not as much as I thought it actually would be. It just goes to show you the strength of Mundo. These couple of passes. We did have a small nerf on him, 11.14. Taking the goes where he pleases, down by 15 seconds to start off with. So he's a little bit easier to gank, easier to trade with, but doesn't seem to have impacted that much in this matchup.
Yeah, Rocky going to be able to stay relatively safe. It was an interesting choice for him as well, because when we look at Rocky, honestly, the champions he's really thrived on are a little bit more carry-oriented, right?
Yeah.
We've seen his Gwen really come up and dish a lot of damage. Obviously, he was banned in this game. Easy to forget, considering the draft happened a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Moonblack. Oh, he's caught between Ruby and Holo, but he does slide and glide away. A lot of movements by both dual laners, actually. As Blaze and Smurf, they're helping secure Herald.
We see both teams just, trying to size up for the Herald. There's a lot of movement around that. Of course, Impunity to take that one down. And in the meantime, it just opens up Wako to get a free laning phase. And we did talk about this earlier, is that sometimes when you're playing a poke composition and the enemy team in the bot side is just so much stronger than your own, then oftentimes we will see teams actually try to sack bot lane and go for trades elsewhere on the map. Like they could just straight go for a bottom lane, straight go for mid lane, and try to punish the fact that Ruby doesn't really have that much wave clear. So we'll see if that's on the cards. Or another line of play for Impunity is just to drop Herald bot lane. But to me, I feel like they're a team that much more prefers to get top king ahead.
Oh no, Ruby. Oh, actually baits Epic a little bit into a tower shot with the flash, but I think that's a trade Epic will be happy about.
Yeah,
catch that one a little bit later. Meanwhile, Wako pop. Oh, two-man knockup on the Glacial Fissure. Not any follow-up damage though. No junglers around.
Favorable trade for Boom Esports coming into that one. They have the Vampiric Scepter, so the damage doesn't really matter, and they get the ultimate. On the flip side, we do have Moonblack and Epic, just with a bit of an incursion. They know that Ruby is not in a fighting condition right now, so they're willing to just step up and take that away. But meanwhile, in the bot lane, once again,
oh, Pop just nails these hook into double plays every time. The problem is Wako, he's the one getting poked a little bit. Nice dodge out on the Chains of Corruption. Wako can be a little happy about how that went down. And Holo is sniffing around. We might be getting a party down here at some point. Box comes up, Smurf taken low, hooked back in, Fate's Call, popped immediately, and Wako will get the kill. Holo tags his way in onto Blaze with the Moonfall. Here comes Moon Black, but there's no one left to save. Holo's not actually going to take this. They're going to let Pop bear the brunt of the damage. Meanwhile, teleport in. Rocky is there to defend, but with kickback, that's going to be a 1-for-1.
Yeah, a bit of a questionable teleport coming in from Rocky, and it looks like what they want to do is full commit to switch up this tower. We have the bottom lane for Boom Esports now going towards the top side there. We're going to take another look at this one. Just a straight-up 2v2 kill, honestly. Holo didn't even do much, but just went in to kill off Blaze. Now, as we mentioned before, the Glacial Fissure isn't there anymore, and Smurf, I feel like he was a bit too aggressive with his positioning right there. And we see Blaze actually trying to hold the wave in front of Holo. Definitely not the right move. Holo just gets the clean solo kill. And even though Impunity do get a return, that's still 2 kills going in favor of Boom Esports. And this poke bot lane, if they don't find a way to rotate, then this bot lane's not getting much done.
Ooh, Pop's getting tracked again. Smurf and Blaze behind the tower with Top King. Gonna be able to get the kill. Excuse me, Blaze not anywhere near there on the map.
That was a great punish coming in. They have a top lane that's already shoved in, and because of the Rocky TP, they had to switch the bot lane here. That's just easy pickings for Impunity. When you have solo laners against duo laners, much easier to just snag off kills in that situation. So we actually have I feel like Impunity has actually been let off the hook just a little by that TP coming in from Rocky. It did not manage to do anything, and now Impunity are swapping into the lanes that I think are much more favorable. Top King having a long lane to kind of punish the duos, and now we have the poke coming in by Blaze into the mid. So Boom Esports, I felt like they had a strong start to that one, but just the TP I feel like was really crucial because it not only left topside wide open for plates to be taken down, it also meant they sort of fumbled up their lane rotations afterwards. And now we have a sizable lead on Impunity's end.
Right. This is looking good for the Impunity squad. They were pretty happy with how things are shaking out, using the Rift Herald to secure first brick up topside. Boom do have the Dragon advantage. Since they played a little bit more around the bottom earlier on, they were able to pick up not just 1, but 2 as the Cloud Rift comes in. And the timers for Soul aren't too bad for this squad, but I don't think Impunity's super worried about that happening just yet.
Yeah. Did we just see Holo take away the blue buff? I don't think that Mystic shot actually landed. I feel like that was the case, and why our observers were showing that. They love showing stuff like that. I think it's spotted out here, so don't expect much to happen. Quick getaway here. With ultimate
Rocky
actually being
try and
popped by
chase
Rocky
it down.
now.
Actually, a lot of damage dealt, and True Shot. Oh, it's not enough. But Holo's here,
coming in,
and he's going to be able to get it, picking it up on the pop of the Hextech belt. Epic, kickback, Pop. Everybody's joining the party right now in Epic. I don't think there's anywhere for you to go. Although Smurf is here for the defense, teleport coming through, and it is just a full-on party in the bot lane, but the tower is destroyed, and Boom are trying to walk away from it. That's going to be 1 kill picked up by Top King, looking for 2, but the minions come in to block, as does Rocky.
Yeah, good response coming in from Top King at the very end of that. Let's watch this play again. Rocky does a surprising amount of damage from Mundo, gets the extra AD with the ultimate, and I like how early he actually pops this. He recognizes he gets a shot at this, goes directly on Moonblack, and we can see the instant flash away coming in from him. Polo just with the easy pickup afterwards, and Epic nearly just goes down here, if not for Smurf coming in and saving this situation. So overall, it is a 1-for-1, but we do have Boom Esports picking up the tower as well in that play. So a little bit more favorable in terms of the objective and the kill allocation trade.
Yeah, Boom Esports keeping this one close, keeping this one tight. Seems like the fight will be around the Rift Herald at the moment. And both teams have just shown that they're pretty happy making aggressive map movements, big investments, and that just means the game just feels so much more dynamic at the moment.
Yeah,
Rift Herald, let's start it off.
This should be a fight that favors Boom Esports unless we have some critical poke coming up, but Smurf goes in way too early.
He goes in, the team is not ready with him right there, and he is going to get the stand behind me to walk away from this one. So Impunity, honestly, count themselves a little lucky they don't lose anybody there. Just a couple of summoners by Smurf.
Yeah, a bit of a questionable move coming in from Smurf. Like, I feel like you should wait on that play until some poke actually lands. In a straight-up 5v5, you're definitely not going to win out against Boom Esports Burst right there. And this is such a great chain for Boom Esports. They get the Herald, they drop it instantly, and they can chain it into a Cloud Drake as well, plus stripping away all of the outer towers right here. It looks pretty dire for Impunity to ever set up this mid lane siege. We have another trap being set up here. Wako does have the Fate's Call. All ultimates actually available for Boom Esports, or they should be if Impunity do decide to step up here. And it looks like Impunity are just not going to challenge.
No, and I think that's the right call at the moment. Boom, they had a little bit of time to kill before the dragon hit the rift. Now that it does, easy peasy lemon squeezy, try and take that one away. And, you know, Impunity is finding themselves in the back foot. It's a chain of events here as things move pretty quickly. Boom, a lot of plays down in the bot, a lot of plays in the river. They just throwing their weight around, and Impunity haven't really been able to counteract it.
Beautiful play from Boom Esports. They're playing this tempo game extremely tight. They have a lead in the bot lane, transition to top, free Herald. Now Rocky might find some trouble, but there isn't enough damage just yet.
He's shoved back. Oh my goodness, this Mundo, he's just so darn tanky.
No way.
Maximum dosage as he goes for the teleport. Finally goes down. It took every ounce of damage from Moonblack, Smurf, and Epic to take him out.
Oh, that felt like the Avengers movie right there. The purple giant taking on an entire team of Avengers. But at the very end, he still goes down. That's a 3v1. Almost got the rest play. But we can see that right now this Mundo actually is still building full armor. I'm actually surprised that he could survive against the Azir for such a long time, who obviously is dealing magic damage here.
He's just a tanky boy.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem. We don't have a lot of HP percent damage. In fact, pretty much only Moonblack is going to be able to chip him down, and I don't think that's enough.
Yeah, that could be a bit of an issue, but Impunity kind of facing a host of them right now. Boom just opening up the map so much, and the fact that they're on Cloud Soul already. Bolo, he will head up to the top side to try and chase down Moonblack. This could be a little bit touchy. Nope. Moonblack walks away. Does that still have the safety of an outer tower? But it feels like Impunity are just on the defensive, right? They're the ones who are going to try and find openings, but Boom are the ones who are directing the tempo at the moment. And they look to try and close a trap here. Not enough members present. In goes Epic. Teleport. Hook comes through. They've caught Smurf as he holds the front line of the team. All 5 members move. Don't actually find anything. True Shot Barrage clips onto Blaze. In comes Moonblack into the middle. But there's not enough damage on either side to get a clean kill.
Yeah, but if we're looking at the HP bars, Boom Esports actually won out on the poke war against 3 poke champions. So they have full control of the map right now, and they can go whichever way they want. We are seeing them just shove into mid lane, probably going to go for a reset afterwards and just control Baron. But if you look at the Drake stacking, that's the big worry coming in from Impunity. You're going to give your opponent a Cloud Soul in 3 minutes time, and if you look at Rocky, he's already pretty much unstoppable. Goes where he pleases. The Cloud Soul is going to make that a lot worse. I feel like Impunity are forced into a situation where they have to secure the next Drake.
I think you're right. Impunity need to disrupt the Soul. Unfortunately, they just don't look to be in a position where they can full-on take the fight. Brocky is very difficult to kill at this point, and while he's frontlining, there's just so much damage. I mean, you started to see this Ezreal come out. True Shot Barrage working as a solid kind of like poke champion. He's just able to wear people down. And meanwhile, Wako can just pump people full of rent stacks. So it's a little dangerous. Not to mention, Holo has got burst potential. I mean, there's a lot of weapons on the Boom side, and it seems to be working out well for them.
Yeah, my biggest worry is definitely going to be Rocky. If you look at his item build, it's the Frostfire Gauntlet completed already. Plus, he does have the Bramble Vest, so a lot of armor built on him. Should be at least like 150 armor at this point. And that just means that it's going to take Epic a while to stack those, to stack the Black Cleaver and to actually put damage onto Mundo, or else Mundo is just going to be right on top of Blaze. He's going to be sitting in front of Top King, soaking most of the damage away. So the windows for Impunity can actually find damage and actually find meaningful poke. I feel like incredibly slim at this point. And if I'm BME Esports, I might even be willing to just sack a mid lane to get a flank going. So, you know, we'll take things one at a time. First off, Impunity do have to defend this Drake. I like the vision that they set up, but they need to transfer that into actual poke damage to dissuade BME Esports from just bum rushing them.
Absolutely. Impunity do have the inside track on this Dragon, though. It's still 30 seconds away. At the very least, they can look to secure some vision, try to set up for a fight. Moonblack, Blaze, both clipped by the True Shot Barrage. It's just, there's so much poke from some of these Boom members right now, and then there's the ever-present threat of Holo going in. Gotta be careful.
Yeah, oh no.
Oh no! Moonblack is deleted. Ruby finds the damage after he was hooked on in, and that's the go button for Boom Esports. Looking for one, looking for more. Top King getting shut down, and Smurf as well. Epic and Blaze. Yeah, you know, forget the Dragon Soul. I think it might be Baron time.
It does look like it. I think Pop actually comes out of vision here. Did Impunity actually just see Pop the entire time? He should be outside of vision range in order for that to happen. I'd be very surprised if he got that hook without staying in the copy there. Indeed, he just slinks past vision, gets Moonblack when he comes out of the corner. Beautiful two-man play into the Moonfall. A lot used just to make sure Azir dies there. And a super easy chase down. Pop once again with the great play. Flashes in between the Dark Passage being taken back. Gonna be a double kill, basically 3 for nothing plus Baron trade going down, and Baron is pretty much a death sentence for most poke compositions. Poke comps do not deal well with super Baron buffed empowered minions. They don't typically have a lot of single target damage that can punch through.
Blue team's turret has been destroyed.
Yeah, this game, Boom have compounded advantages, but Pop has just been an absolute hero. He has not missed a death sentence that I can remember. Oof. And he almost always gets the double play.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane to watch this happening, you know. He pretty much established 2v2 advantage by himself in the bottom side. And if you look back at this game, I don't feel like Impunity was actually that far behind. But it was just one play where Boom Esports had a great chain when they went... you know, they got a kill plus tower in the bottom side, transitioned that to Herald off the temple lead, went mid with the Herald, got the tower, and then into the Drake. I felt like that chain was so devastating for Impunity that afterwards they lost every single part of the map. There's no map control whatsoever, and also something that didn't go as well as I thought it would be the top lane. Rocky's Mundo was able to weather the storm perfectly, and we checked in on him around the 10-minute mark. He was only down 4 CS. That's not what you want to see in a Jace versus Mundo lane whatsoever. Not exactly sure what everything that happened. I don't really remember what happened at the start of the game, but did not seem to go very well for Top King.
Yeah, it just felt like there wasn't a whole lot of attention up there. It was a super slow game for the most part in the top side. The action was focused on the bottom, was focused in the river. Boom, yeah, when they go for the big objective swing like that, they're just so decisive. I think this is one of those things that's made this team so good in the summer split. They just make calls quickly, and you know, when there's no communication latency, you can actually get a lot of incredible stuff done. Rocky weathering that storm on the Mundo now becomes nigh unkillable. Thornmail completed, and he's just able to, yeah, literally walk all over the place, going where he pleases with the Baron buff. It's time to break into the base. Impunity need a miracle of a fight to get back into this one, but it's Holo that finds 3 members himself. Gets popped up by the Glacial Fissure, but he is going to be able to dust that off.
Hook?
And another hook lands. Pop, don't miss.
2 team fights in a row. Moonblack isn't even able to get his ultimate off before dropping. Wow, this Thresh is just deleting targets left and right, and now Epic has to make something happen.
God. Oh, okay, okay, now we cursed him. He missed. Whatever. Everybody gets one. It's fine. Rocky's going to be able to walk away from this. Boom. They're just, you know, it's systematic destruction of the Impunity base at this point.
Let's get that again. This time, I'm even more impressed because it felt like it was just in plain vision that he got that. Of course, this play was a little bit unfortunate for Blaze as he actually walks towards Smurf and gets hit up by that. Let's watch this play again. Yeah, it's actually just in plain vision. You just can't miss.
This play brought to you by Hook City. Pop is so good, man.
Yeah. We were talking about how Boom Esports don't have the best of Engage, but I guess it doesn't matter when the one playing Thresh
you make
is
the Engage
Pop.
come to you. That's all you need.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for Boom, like, you know, I did have a lot of like kind of question marks about this Ruby Ezreal pick. Honestly, it's basically just chunked out Impunity members before the fight starts, and then Pop just brings somebody to them, and from then on, it's kind of just a meat grinder.
It's a pretty smart pick overall. He selected it in the R3 position, and at that point, all he saw was the Azir. So I felt like he got a little bit lucky. He probably had the idea that Impunity was going to go for a full poke composition, and if you look at Impunity's side, they don't really have many tanky members. Not a lot of people can actually take the Arcane Barrage to the face, so you know, a lot of this backline is just getting shoved out in one single use of the ability, but Moonblack is coming in.
Moonblack trying, doesn't have enough damage, and the team wasn't quite ready. Oh, you hate to see it. Now the chase is here. Pop gets the hook on once again, finds the Braum. Goodbye, Smurf. Like clockwork, man. Every time.
Yeah, this is a little bit sad to see as, maybe they can get Wako.
Ruby is inside the base, and he is fine. This is fine.
It's been a while since
Impunity
we
are the
checked on
dog
builds.
drinking the coffee in the burning house at this point.
Yeah, he even has the Frozen Heart, so he's willing to play frontline Ezreal at this point. Without Moonblack, there is no damage that can actually kill him.
Good old blue Ezreal. All right. Impunity trying for the desperation fight. Is it going to be enough? No. Epic just gets bopped on the head by Holo. And Pop, Rocky a little bit low. Well, I say Rocky's a little bit low, but he's Mundo. That doesn't mean anything. And they're just going to walk away very slowly, leisurely stroll to the Cloud Soul and come right back to it.
I feel like the best thing from this game coming out from Impunity has actually been their skin selection in the bot side. Like, that's actually super smart that they have Varus that throws out yellow projectiles with the I believe that's like the Tigra Braum.
Tigre Braum, yeah.
Yeah, it also throws out yellow projectiles.
It's coordinated. I have to give them credit there.
It's really easy to just, you know, foretake the Winter's Bite for the Varus ultimate. Accidentally flash or not flash accordingly when...
Oh, I see what you're saying. It's next level. It's next level chess. Okay. That's
it
really
didn't work this game, but I felt like that was the best idea that we've seen so far.
Oh, okay. Rocky coming up for Moonblack here. Moonblack saw him, but I don't think you can stop him. Yep. At this point, they're just going to give the kills to somebody. Although Top King did try to get a little bit of revenge there. Epic a little low on that one. Turnaround onto Ruby. The box is down. In comes Rocky again. And they just are making it look too easy. Rocky can tank for days. Play back. There's the kill.
Yeah, honestly, getting so one-sided to the point that it's a little bit unbearable to watch at this point. Impunity trying their best to keep their waves outside of their base, but Boom Esports with a great punish. They use the TP just to make sure they get that play, and then look, coming in from the side.
The moonfall. Yep, that's it. It's over. There's the ace. 30 minutes. Boom Esports, just a systematic destruction of Impunity, and they will close this one out. Oh man, even the Manor Wards. Wow.
Yeah,
the dedication.
They want another kill.
They got it.
I think Boom Esports are kind of pissed. Come on, it's not their fault that they're playing on a different server, okay? Don't take it out on them.
But they got the win at the end of the day. You know, Impunity, they had been on the rise for a little bit. They'd had some improvement we'd seen, but unfortunately, it just felt like Boom had a faster pace. They were able to get their game plan executed just a little quicker. The objective control was stellar. And once they had a lead, you know, like a dog with a bone, they didn't let go of it.
Yeah, the questions coming into this game was, were Impunity ever able to group up? How were they going to do that when their lanes weren't that far ahead? And I think the answer was, we never actually saw a siege. The only times they tried to siege was on third Drake, and that ended in a flash because Pop was just too good with his engages. That also leads us to our second question of the game. With this composition, would Boom Esport be able to actually engage? It didn't look like they had a lot of very concrete tools here. And I think we had a very solid answer. If your Thresh is named Pop, it doesn't matter. That Death Sentence is not a skill shot. It's actually a click, point and click. So he got Moonblack every single time. The 2 times it counts, and that was enough for them to just run away with that game. It's a little bit unfortunate, but yeah.
I don't think
feel
Moonblack
like
had bad positioning either. Like that was just like it was just incredible Thresh hooks.
I feel like he was too far forward when he didn't need to be. Like, if you think about what Azir does, he doesn't actually poke. So, ideally, I think he should actually... He was trying, but I felt like he should have kept distance further back rather than being on the front lines. It was kind of weird to see him getting actually hooked there. But it did happen. Kudos to Pop.
Let's take a look at how it all went. You know, surprisingly, the gold did stay pretty even for a while, but it was all the objective game, right? Boom, we're stacking up Drake after Drake, and it really wasn't until Cloud Soul that Impunity actually got a dragon of their own, but by that point it was kind of a little bit too late. And Boom just they just had so much better map control. They just had so much better movement around the map, and as you mentioned, Pop set up the plays time and again for this squad for them to just roll over Impunity by the end of it.
Yeah, it was a bit unfortunate, but usually when poke compositions don't come out ahead by like 25 minutes, they fall off a cliff. It's very hard to then come back in an open map situation where people aren't huddled together underneath their own towers. And the MVP,
there we go.
Finally, support's getting some recognition. No surprise here. Pop with the automatic death sentence is going to get that one at the end. You know, one from the laning phase was the key point in the team fights to get things going. And he just had his eyes on Moonblack. Like, this is something that I really learned from Rusty, is that if you play enough at high level, you actually start tracking player movements and you get in their head. You can kind of guess where they're going to swerve. And most players actually swerve on the same side when they're trying to dodge out hook shots. So you can predict that. And I have to say that, you know, Pop definitely had a great mind read onto Moonblack this game. Nothing good Moonblack could do.
Certainly did. Yeah, it's hard to do much against something like that. But we have got one more game to close this out. PSG versus Alpha Esports. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.